So greetings to you. Lovely people. It is Friday, but this Friday I cannot say in good spirit, thank God it's Friday. Because I came upon some news, not news really. I came upon some information that had me busy all day. I've been distracted. I was busy. I was contemplating, should I come with this? Should I share this? Is this something that needs verification? Is it a process that needs to be substantiated? What must I do with this information that I stumbled upon earlier today? I debated in my mind as to what do I do with this information? Obviously, I am not the only person who was previewed to that information. It would have been circulated within the camp of those who are contesting this elections in September in Guyana. So they would have been able to peruse that information too for their own motivation, their own inspiration, and they can weaponize that information. So it all makes sense after I would have learned about it as to why things are going down the road as they are at this moment within Guyana. So I came to I arrive at a conclusion that I should share this. So if those of you would have already heard about it, or somehow you would have been able to access this information, then obviously it's already out there. Now, when I pondered upon it, when I thought about it, it made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense. Without seeing the actual data, by virtue of discussion, by virtue of information that was shared to me, it made a lot of sense. It's common sense. You can realize that this makes sense. Welcome to Dr. Love Prasad, Uncensored Guyana. Because when it comes to Guyana, you can't censor anything. Censoring something or information delivery or dissemination when it comes to the Guyanese diaspora or Guyanese in general, you can't censor it. You're censoring it, you miss the point. You miss the target audience. For example, if I should use political correctness in my discourses, in my deliberation, in my commentary, the average ghetto person wouldn't understand. They won't understand, and certain messages must be tailored to suit them. The person who lives above the culture of the ghetto, regardless of whatever language or whatever style of presentation you use, they'll understand. Their brains are functioning at its fullest capacity. So they'll understand. But the ghetto, if you censor stuff, they don't understand that. You're speaking a language that they haven't learned because a lot of them did not take advantage of primary school. All the other people took advantage of that. So uncensored Guyana means that I can't censor anything because the troublemakers, they're the ones I need to get the message. They're the ones who need to understand what's going on. And these troublemakers, they have selected the smartest from amongst them. To us, their smartest is our dumbest. So when the ghetto appoint their smartest, dumbest people to speak on their behalf, we're asking ourselves the question, how can you compete with that? How can you compete at an upscale level against the dumb thuggery that is verbalized, vocalized, and are presented via TikTok and Facebook and YouTube platform from the ghetto-sponsored pundits? So we cannot censor our stuff. We have to tell them like it is. We got to say fuck, we got to say nigger. That's what they understand. Therein, I have to have immunity and amnesty of speaking however I need to speak. Your moral, vocal, verbal laws cannot apply to me. I have to be exempt. I have to be protected. Because these people to whom we have to send the message, you can't censor your speech when you're targeting them. Yeah, thank you there, Lynette. Lynette saying, yeah, Facebook is no, it's not that Facebook is sensitive. Facebook is prejudice. Facebook's algorithm are still Democrat policy, ideology, wokeness oriented. The whole thing of what Mark Zuckerberg said about freedom of speech, freedom of expression, they will not be going after political platforms, is bullshit. It's a lie. He said that to come into Trump's good graces, but it's a lie. Facebook is censoring the shit out of people the way it always does. The way it always does. And anytime people mass report you, they don't have human beings at Facebook that verify these complaints. They don't. All they know is that when they mass report you above a certain number, the algorithm or the bots is activated and they shut your account. And when you appeal, immediately after appealing, they tell you in a message, you need to sign back in. When you sign back in, after reviewing, we find that your account still doesn't follow our community standard. Nonsense. Within seconds, they already reviewed your entire content and tell you that we find that it didn't, so we suspend your account. It's fucking exhausting. So I'm tired of Facebook. I am. I'm tired of them. This is why you find when they recently opened one of my accounts, I did not go live. I have not been going live because I'm tired of them. I'm tired of the torture of using Facebook. If I was posting violence, people stabbing each other, police and criminals and and posting porn or sex and those kinds of things, my accounts would never be censored, never be shut down. Facebook is pushing that culture. It's pushing that pornographic culture. The more sex you can put, the more porn stuff you can type, the more immoral you can act. They're pushing that. But if you are into the awakening of your people, if you are talking about issues that affect people, if you are exposing racism, exposing discrimination, they wait for somebody to report you and they shut you down. So it's, yes, the views there are better than YouTube. But the thing is, if you should look at views, then you can't really make a point at Facebook. And what I have said also before is that the PNC, somehow their accounts are protected. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. But they have these hackers that set up some kind of counter bot, whatever they do, and they sign in their Facebook via an app or something. So the Facebook bots is bouncing off of that. I don't know how they do it, but they're like so violent. They are so racial. The PNC folks are so fucked up. When they're cussing people, when they are pushing false fake news and they're pushing propaganda, they are allowed to go on. They are allowed to, even if you report their content, somehow Facebook does nothing. So I had to draw the conclusion that maybe Facebook has issues with Indians and Chinese. Because if I talk about abuse of Chinese or the abuse of the Indians, I'm getting flagged, I'm getting censored, and I'm getting shut down. But the PNC and their pundits, all the people of the PNC, all them people that has their pages. I mean, the Melissa woman, her page was shut down, but she started another one. Same name. And it's allowed to roam free. Burke and all these other people, their pages are staying there. So they are getting the traffic. They're getting the opportunity to spread their propaganda. When people like me counteract their lies and their gossip to educate the people, to say, hey, look at the agenda of these people, Facebook is responding. When these PNC people report my account, Facebook is responding and acting on their behalf. Where is the justice in Facebook? This is why I said Mark Zuckerberg is a communist. Yeah, he's a communist. He's not a Democrat. He's not a Trump man. He's a Biden man. So the universe knows better. It's a free platform, so they don't have to. They're there to make money. They're there to push whatever gets them more mileage, and Facebook needs money. Facebook needs to know that they can hold content that people will sign on for, which is sex and porn. And it seemed like the PPP crowd on Facebook are so gullible to the lies that are coming out of the PNC that they click on the PNC pages, they click on their videos. And I warned against it. I warned a lot of the PPP people against it. If you click on videos or if you watch the lives of people like Mark Benchcop and Melissa Matwell and Rickford Burke and this Rhonda Bab woman and all these people, you know very well that they are in collusion with each other. You know very well that their agenda is to undermine the democratic process in Guyana. Their agenda is to see Indo-Guyanese attacked, the Chinese stores looted and destroyed, because they keep saying that the Chinese are squeezing out the small man in Guyana, the small business people. That's what they're peddling. And they are saying that the Ali government is responsible for that. So we have two evils here. Evil number one, the Chinese are moving in on the market and squeezing out the Guyanese business. Evil number two, the government is encouraging it, the government is silent about it, and the government don't give a shit about the average small business in Guyana. Government meaning the PPP government, meaning President Ali. This is what they are pushing. Even though the Chinese migration, business migration to Guyana, didn't begin in 2020. As a matter of fact, the largest scale of Chinese migration to Guyana for business happened during the PNC time, 2015, 2020. But you didn't hear complaints. A matter of fact, what you heard, the blacks were cheering the dominance of the Chinese in the Guyanese economy. They were cheering that because they were saying at the time that the Indians were abusing the prices, they were taking advantage of the businesses, they were this, they were that. So they were happy when the Chinese came and competed with Indian businesses. The blacks were happy. They didn't blame the PNC. They thanked the PNC for allowing Chinese to come and take over the market. They were happy. They were like, yes, the PNC knows the struggles of the people, and the PNC want to make it easier for the people. And even the PNC themselves were talking good about it. Go back and look. Now the same people who largely was responsible for the migration of the Chinese, the economic and social migration of the Chinese to Guyana, they're the ones now saying that it should stop, that it's killing the small business. All these organizations that supported it, that stood with it, that ran with it, now they're saying, because it's election time, they're using that to say, look, the government don't love the local Guyanese business. It's allowing the Chinese to abuse it, to abuse the mining sector, to abuse the wood sector, to abuse the agriculture sector, to abuse this, to abuse that. When in PNC time, that's what the Chinese are doing now. It's exactly what they did during the PNC time. The PNC gave them license, right? The PNC gave them tax-free ventures. It was the PNC. But the fact that a lot of people are lazy to go back and get the facts, they are now hinging their belief and their decision on what comes out of the mouth of these foul-mouthed, rotten-teeth, stink-mouthed, foul-bred PNC pundits that are coming on social media, Facebook largely, and are pushing this lie that Ali is the one that caused these Chinese to come in such large numbers. How can Ali have done that? You had COVID for 2 years. Nobody could travel. Nobody could have traveled. You won't tell me in 3 years, Chinese dominated Guyana in 3 years? I repeat, it started since when Granger took over. Look at the period of Donald Rumsfeld. Consider that period and how much Chinese moved into Guyana. And consider the period of the Granger government. Make a comparison and compare now, the past 3 years. Well, 2. Because 2025 is not a full calendar year for the Ali government. Elections is in September. Parliament was suspended, what, a month ago? So Ali did not get 5 full years. He just got 2.5 years to be president in a real sense, not 5. But they're spinning this thing to confuse the small business, the Indo-Guyanese business, that, hey, it's your own people that fucked you up, your own government that brought all these Chinese, and these Chinese are selling cheap products, substandard products, to compete with your business. And the average Guyanese are saying they need to save money because times are so hard, because the PPP made times so hard. So the Guyanese welcome the Chinese, but actually you have to blame your government. You have to blame President Ali, because what President Ali did, he made life hard for the Guyanese, and he gave the Chinese a free rein to come in. So if you and Indo-Guyanese business is not seeing a profit, or you have to close doors, you can't pay your rent, you can't sustain your business, you can't pay your staff, blame President Ali. That's what the PNC is spinning. And they have all of these demons that they hire, that are circulating the same talking point. The average person, so vulnerable, ill-informed, don't do research, possibly can't read. They're on the internet not to read anything, but to listen to videos out of PNC camp. And whatever these people say, they take that as facts, not examining if it's actual fact. And most of the time, it is not. So yes, while I have the opportunity at all these platforms to correct a lot of the fake news, I would have loved to be able to stay, my accounts remain on Facebook, because there is where I can also get access to a wider range of people. But it is what it is. I'm not protected on social media. PNC they just know what they're doing. They're there for a while, and that's all they have. That's the weapon they use. While the PPP is busy building, getting organized, providing for their families, studying, updating themselves, upgrading themselves, while they're doing that, the PNC people only have time to sit on their smartphone on somebody's free Wi-Fi or a hacked Wi-Fi and spread fake news. That's all they do. So my crowd has a productive life. The PNC crowd has a dormant life, stagnant. They have nothing to do. So yes, unfortunately, again, I'm suspended from Facebook for the seventh time. Seventh since I started this campaign against them. Seventh time. So I just said to myself, you know what? It's exhausting. You know. So let's leave it for now. Let's just, what can get this message spreading is those who are listening here, YouTube, and later on TikTok, and so on. You have to spread it. They're not going to shut your account down. They'll shut mine, because I'm the host. I'm the doctor. But you sharing my live on your Facebook platform, or uploading the video, whatever you can do, gets it to continue. But personally, for me, I'm the target. You're not the target. I'm the target. But that's how exhausting it is. So why it is concerning to me, it is because there is a plot. And I'm not talking about a plot with the code. We all know that when all these other party, Liberty for something, Forward Guyana something, WPA something, PNC something, APNU something, AFC something. We all know they're all Bornamites. We all know that. That's a fact. We can't dispute that. It's a waste of time trying to argue the semantics. We all know they're Bornamites. What the plan is, because the populace has lost trust in the PNC for over 30 years. The PNC has been dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. What they did within themselves, they came to a conscious decision to split the votes, to come out, to invent spies, to create small parties, and to have those spies target the Indian population. As Jagdeo says, the organic PPP supporters, those supporters is the ones that the PNC offshoots targeting. They are not targeting the blacks. It is a perception. It is an illusion that they're targeting the blacks. They're not. Because the majority of the blacks in Guyana are PNC to the core. Why? Because they are raised in a household that were indoctrinated under Barnum theology. And the Barnum theology has a lot to do with racial identity, racial African identity. That's it. Barnum was an extremist. He had this perception of black supremacy within Guyana. So those fathers and mothers and grandparents were raised with that ideology, which they passed on to their children. But they also told their children, you have to play the game. You have to walk the walk like the Indian, but at the end of the day, you vote black. You always vote black because they tell their children, they educated their children, and I'm certain you heard it the other day, when they said a good Indian, how did he say it? Let me use the term coolie. A good coolie is a dead one. You heard that, right? I have also heard it. I heard it. When I associate as a kid coming up, and I would overhear, in certain black groups, they say, you can't trust them coolie. A good coolie is a dead one. I couldn't wrap my head around it. But then later on, I asked the question, what do you mean when you say that? And black people, the elders, told me, while an Indian, now I'm going to present it how they said it. While a coolie is alive, you must never trust them. Because the coolie would say whatever he has to say, pretend to like you, pretend to love you, because he sees something that you have that he needs. And when he gets that thing that you have that he needs, he forgets about you. Because to him, you will always be a nigger. So if you want a coolie to trust, when they're dead, then you can trust them, because then they can't harm you economically, then they can't take your land, then they can't take your this. That's the kind of thing I heard as a boy when I was around the black circles. That's the thing. So when you hear that same thing is being peddled now in 2025 from the mouth of these Negro thugs and gangsters, it scares the shit out of you. Because I have not heard that as an adult. I heard that as a kid. But then again, I haven't socialized among those black circles, so I wouldn't have heard these things. So when I start hearing it again, it scares me because I know that it jogs a memory that, hey, they used to say these things when I was a kid, and I know what they meant with it. Now imagine this is what they're telling the young Afro-Guyanese today, the one that is vulnerable, the one that is buying into the narrative that the government is racial and the government is only having the poster child, the poster black child, the poster this, just to seduce other black people to vote for them, because the only way you can trust an Indian is if the person is not alive anymore. They're not insinuating you have to kill the person. They're insinuating that while an Indian is alive, you can never trust them. That's what they're pushing. That's what the PNC camp now is pushing. To who? They can't tell Indo-Guyanese that. They're pushing that to the average mentality, the black people that only have used 2% of their brain capacity. 2%. So imagine them believing that. And then they're now explaining it to say, you see how the government is being run? You see how the ghettos are neglected? You see how this is neglected? You see how that is neglected? Because the PNC, the PPP are an Indian party who don't like black people. So when I tell those same Negroes, look at the evidence. Look at the evidence. If it is that the Indo-Guyanese, now forget politics, because this is not just about politics. They're not telling the blacks not to trust Indo-Guyanese politicians. They're generalizing this. They're telling the blacks not to trust Indians in general. I can't have that. So I have to tell the black people, let us examine the facts. Look at your life. It's direct. Look at your life. Try to tap into the memory that you have as far back as you can go. Your memory. If you can go to a time in your primary school days or your nursery school days, or as far as you can remember. Because every community in Guyana is mixed, largely mixed. I tell them, give me one instant, one, in your time growing up as a black person, give me one instant where an Indian betrayed you. Just one. I don't want the whole 2, 3. One instant. We're not talking about politicians. Because when these black people are peddling this thing, they're not talking about politicians. They're putting all Indians in the basket. So I want the blacks to give me one instant where an Indian in their neighborhood, in their school, on the job, discriminated against them, betrayed their trust, took something from them. Let me be specific. In your life, was there ever a time where an Indo-Guyanese took your land? Fraudulently took your land? Did they wrongfully got you fired because you're black? Did they conspire to put you in danger? Did they rob you of your gold, your possessions? Did they gang beat you, lynch you? Think about it. Any good coolie is a dead one. But the ones who are alive, did they do any of the things I've mentioned and more to you directly as a black person? Has it ever happened? The answer would be no. It never happened. So if the answer is no, why then would you peddle this term, any good coolie is a dead one? Why would you push that? Why? You have never had the experience. No Indo-Guyanese has ever discriminated against you, hurt you, racially, never did. You say dirty stuff about Indians on Facebook, they say dirty stuff about blacks on Facebook. You do it to them, so they do it to you on Facebook. If you have a confrontation on the street, you start it first, the black person. You attack the Indian. You start cussing the Indian, calling him all kinds of names. What the fuck is he supposed to do? Shut up and take it? You call him a coolie, he'll call you a nigger. You hit him, he will strike you. You threaten him, he'll threaten you. It's basic physics, right? You can't be the bully, but when the Indo-Guyanese respond to your bullyism, you go on with the talk. You see, any good Indian is no. Life don't work like that. The fact is, you have no evidence that any Indo-Guyanese has wronged you as a black person. None. No matter where you live, the people who show you the most beauty and favor and are very fast and quick to help you as a black person is an Indo-Guyanese. Anywhere. They're the first to reach out to help you. Not because they're supposed to, because that's how Indo-Guyanese are. Matter of fact, Indians are like that to everyone. White people, Chinese, everyone, they would help you before they help another Indian. Indo-Guyanese don't help each other like that. That's the thing about Indian people. If they have their last dollar and you have a black man there and an Indian man there, that Indian that with that dollar, he's not going to think about splitting it to give 50 cents to the Indian and 50 to the black. No. His first reaction, the black man needs it more. Even though both Indian and black need it, that Indian man with that dollar, first reaction, the black guy needs it more. So he's going to give it to the black guy and tell the Indian guy, let's go see if we can borrow it from somebody to help him out. If it was an Indian and a white person there, and the Indian man with the dollar would give the white guy because he needs it more. This is a thing about Indians. They help the other person first before they help their own people. First. So why they would invent these slogans and these talking points and these phrases about good Indian is a dead one, I don't know where it came from, but I have an idea. It came from the 60s. It came from the 60s. That's one of the indoctrination of the Burnham camp. That's one of the things he told his people. He spread. Now they have Facebook. They have a hashtag. Then the hashtag was any good coolie is a dead one. Burnham started that. And he loosed it in the black neighborhoods. And it impressed upon it. Even though the person who terrorized, who robbed, who stole from, who killed, raped, abused was the black people on the Indian people in the Burnham time. But they indoctrinated the black people that it was the Indians who do that. The fact is, it was the blacks who were doing that on the Indians. And to know that today they still circulate that nonsense. They still talk about those talking points from the 60s. It's still alive in their tongue. It's fearful. It's fearing. That's why these young black people today, who has no experience in being violently attacked, discriminated against, none whatsoever, by an Indian, they can so quickly harm and hurt an Indian. You wonder why? Because of the indoctrination of their parents that has passed down to them. And that is dangerous. That is dangerous. So when I ask them, what is it that President Ali's government has done to you as a black person directly? What? They can't say. They have nothing to say. They have to think. Yeah, but you see what? I said, what is he doing? What? The corruption. What corruption? Yeah, you know, they're giving to the friends and family. Who is the friends and family? Where is your evidence? Which friend of Ali do you know that has gotten something from the government that you think he shouldn't get? Which friend? What family of President Ali has gotten some grants or contract, whatever it is? Point it out. Call the person's name. Verify that that person is the president's family. By what side? Whose side? Father, mother, close, third, first, second cousin? Where is it coming from? They have nothing. But they heard that from where? PNC. And the PNC leaked that information to the pundits like Smelly Smell and Bench Cup and all these people. And they're the ones who are peddling that. They always have some fake picture, some fake information that you can't read. They won't zoom into the camera. You can't read it. But they're telling you, they have information, they have evidence about this person get this amount of land, that person get this amount of land, oh, the friends and family, the PPP, and this corruption with this deal, and that deal, and this GPL selling to this one, and this is this one. If you want to know who gets access to land, all you have to go is go to the land registry website and type. All the persons who have received concessions, government land, it's on the website. Just go type. But then again, why should you? How does it concern you? Are you an investor? You see, I can take you back to the PNC time when they did worst. They did worst. Oh, and this is what the bench cops they would say. You know, we know that every government is corrupt. No, talk directly to PNC. Not every government. Guyana has only had two governments. PPP and PNC. We are not talking about every government. In the Guyana situation, if it's not the Ali government, it's the PNC government. So the PNC government, yeah, they were corrupt too, but not as much as PPP. Typical Negroes. When a black man is in power in Guyana, he could do the devil's deed. They wouldn't judge him. They wouldn't condemn him. They wouldn't expose his sins because it's justifiable. If everybody gonna steal, it's better if a nigga does it. After all, he's gonna buy a bear for you. But when an Indian steal, nobody knows. They keep it quiet. So the black man, the Afro-Guyanese PNC camp, they don't mind. They would not condemn the PNC corruption. They're saying they're making comparisons. PNC stole 100 billion, PPP steals 500 billion. They criticize the 500 billion that is allegedly stolen by the PPP. And they brush aside the crimes of the PNC. Because that is what black people do. They hide the sins and the crimes of their people. This is why it's a difficult time for the police to find these criminals. Because they hide in the ghetto. The ghetto hides them. The ghetto hides them. But it doesn't happen with Indian neighborhoods. The Indian man, the East Indian or Indo-Guyanese, he don't hide criminals. That family don't hide criminals. They give you up the second they know you did something wrong. And the police is looking for you. They call the police themselves and snitch on your stupid ass. That's the Indian. They don't tolerate criminal activities. The blacks have sympathy for criminals. So the PNC people are comparing the crimes and they're like, yeah, the PPP this, yeah, the PPP that. And that's what happens with that. That's what happened with that Travis Chase guy. That's what happened to him. Followed the lies, the fake news, the fake bulletin, the fake paper that was given to him by the PNC to destroy the reputation of a businessman. The businessman challenged it. Okay, then I'll take you to court. Prove what you're saying. Can't prove it. Lies. They always do that. Now, let them now, Aubrey Norton and the PNC camp, that the Travis Chase and the others are lying for, let them pay the 100 million Guyana dollars. Let them pay the settlement. They like taking lawyers for criminals, right? Now let them pay that settlement for Travis Chase. He did their bidding. They got the fake news from the camp. Now the man sued them and got judgment. Let them pay the judgment. That's what you do. So when they do that now, the average Guyanese black is so sympathetic. They feel sorry for the people who are pushing this fake news as if they were directly impacted. Not knowing that the agenda of these PNC pundits is to discredit, destroy, and to bring down any PPP government. It's not unique to Ali. Jagdeo suffered it. Ramatar suffered it. It's even worse under President Ali, because they are jealous of President Ali because he has now gained global stardom. He's a superstar president. It's jealousy. So this is a personal thing. They don't care the risk they're taking in exposing fake news about Ali and Ali's government. They don't care. Their objective is to plant that seed in the minds of the average Guyanese without verification, without proof. So on elections day, the average Guyanese is going to go to the poll remembering the shit they told them. Yeah, Ali is friends and family. Look how long you have to wait for a house lot. While this person's getting how much 1,000 acres, how much 100 acres. The new highway built and they're building this, they're building that, and along that place there, they have all these land they're giving out to their friends and family. Fellow Guyanese, a government is there to manage the resources of the country. I'm one of the persons who said in the past, bring the Guyanese investors back to Guyana with their money. If Guyanese developers could invest millions of American dollars in real estate development in America, being given access to government land in America. Why should they come to Guyana and buy government land for far higher value than they would buy in America? It makes no sense. These developers in America who are Guyanese, they're doing wonders overseas. They have investment in a lot of countries. And they petition governments in those countries to say, hey, I can bring investment to your country, but you have to give me tax-free break for 20 years. You have to give me access to land so I can build factories, I can build real estate. And they get access in different countries. Why then in their own fucking country they have to buy land from the government as if it's a private entity? Governments should not sell land for their citizens to invest. You lease the land. It's not transferable. You want Guyanese to go back to invest in the country. You cannot depend on oil income. The oil is going to dry up at some point. You need to have other sources of income. Real estate is a stable economy. All these land the government has. Doing what? Swamp? They're not planting it. Nobody wants to go into agriculture. Then you give the land out to developers. The developers now is going to develop, that's what they do, develop the land. Be it to put factories, housing projects, schemes, that is what they do. If the government has to do everything, when would things get done? Look at the Irfan Ali Bridge. Look at the Irfan Ali River Bridge. If the Ministry of Public Works in Guyana had to put together its own engineers and do subcontract within Guyana to build that bridge, do you think it would get done? If so, when? If the Guyana government had to build the bridge itself, using Guyanese contractors, Guyanese engineer, Guyanese products, when the fuck you think the bridge would have been finished? When? It's not practical. It's also not possible. So they bid. The people who are funding the bridge bid. The Chinese who were funding it, Chinese company won the bid. Voila, you get the Irfan Ali River Bridge that's almost completed. That's how countries run. Why are you believing the rhetoric from the PNC that this is an injustice against Guyanese citizens? Guyana has a population under 1 million with a landmass of 83,000 square miles. England, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados can fit how many times in Guyana? Look at the population of England. How much millions are there? Guyana is not 1 million yet. Guyana need at least 10 million people, at least. And you would still have a lot of landmass wasted. Under 1 million people. And instead of encouraging the world to move in Guyana, they're busy spreading fake news and propaganda to keep people out. Which brings me to this serious information I want to share. It was a plot. It was a purposeful, planned, carefully orchestrated plot to run Indo-Guyanese out of the country. All the crime, all the protests, all the illusion of destabilization, it was crafted to create a perception that Guyana is not a safe country to live or to raise your family. And if you can afford it, your best alternative is to leave. That was a carefully executed plan that came out of the playbook of the Burnham time from the 60s. And it has been used successfully to this day. I didn't get it. When I saw that information, I'm like, wow. The sources says yes. All this crime, all this targeting Indians, now even more, it is because the PNC is trying to create what you call cleansing Guyana from Indo-Guyanese by any means necessary. And because they can't do the massacre thing anymore, they use the weapon of fear, robbery, protests, attacking Indians, threatening Indians, creating this environment of fear. So the Indo-Guyanese with the resources, the connection, and the means, get them out. So when the smart Indo-Guyanese leaves Guyana with their family, who is left? The dumb ones. The dumb ones lean towards the blacks for protection. And by virtue of that, they support the black parties. So the elite, middle class Indo-Guyanese have been migrating since the Burnham time. And every time a scenario is there that threatens the social fabric and stability of that country, the Indian man is planning in his mind to leave the country with his family. You're talking mother, father, and maybe 5 children. That is 7 people. 7 people is 7 votes for the PPP. If 10,000 migrates, 70,000 votes for the PPP, gone. And over years, every time Indo-Guyanese grow up, achieve, instead of reinvesting in the country by way of starting their family, they're considering their safety, their security, the opportunities that they know they deserve and want a better life for their children and their grandchildren. What do? They leave. The trend continues. And that is a plan of the PNC. It always has. This is why they will never solve the issue of crime. They need the criminals to terrorize the Indian so they leave Guyana for good. So every election, the PPP vote reduces in number, reduces, while the PNC vote stays. You didn't get that, did you? The PNC are not encouraging their people to leave. They're not. They have the court system in their hands. So when they use their people to terrorize the Indians, and it doesn't have to be direct terrorism, rob some Indian in some Indian neighborhood, the rest will be afraid. Slap a few around in the city, the rest will be afraid. That kind of terrorism. Mass protest. They want to make the Indians so insecure and afraid of their life that they leave their properties, leave their land, and they leave the fucking country. The whole purpose of this is to reduce the PPP's votes. If you reduce the PPP vote, you reduce the number of seats. When Jagdeo took over, the elections following, 36 seats, wasn't it? 36. You want to tell me that an Indian population that has grown since then could not deliver that amount of seats every election after? Look at 2015. Look at 2010. The PNC got the majority of the parliament. How? Look at 2015. They won. How? Look at 2020. They claim they won. How? Because numbers matter. When they drive fear in the Indians, they leave the country. They don't risk coming back to vote. And those who are in the country don't risk going out to vote. But the PNC people, though they are 40% of the voting population, they go out and they vote on the PNC, regardless of which party is offshoots. All those parties secure black votes. And at the end of the day, what do you get? A Party for National Unity, APNU. All of them came together. Because they always have been PNC. They separate to create an illusion that they're apart. This whole conspiracy with AFC and APNU is a sham. They now push this thing as if they're now against each other. They can't agree because the AFC want to appeal to the low-minded, ghetto-minded Indo-Guyanese. They want to appeal to them, while the PNC holds on to the 40%. They are happy that they did not get turnouts at their rally. They're happy for that. They want that. They don't want people to come out. They're sending their people to support Azruddin Mohammed because they want the perception that PNC has no support to go out. So the big surprise would be on elections day. It's all an orchestrated plan to get rid of as much Indo-Guyanese as possible, the organic voters and supporters of the PPP, to get them out of the country. And those who are out of the country, to create so much fear that they wouldn't think of coming back to vote. That is the plan all along. This is why coming up to elections, you have an increase in crime. It's all the workings of the PNC. So this is what I say. On the basis of that, I'm going to share more as time goes on. But on the basis of that, I am worried. This might be a difficult election for the PPP. Because based on the numbers, the statistics, forget the crowds. Forget the crowds. The actual voting population of the PPP is only 40%. Solid voting population. The PNC is also 40%. 20% is why the PNC created all these small factions. Win, Forward Guyana, Liberty for something, to go after that 20%. And the 20% comprises of Amerindian, so-called poor Indo-Guyanese, and the ghetto. If the PNC offshoot parties grabs those 20% votes, they brings it back to their party, PNC. Then you get what? 60%. The PPP, just 40%. You get where I'm coming from? This is why it is scary. What I can do, what I'm trying to do here, is to tell the Indo-Guyanese, to tell the loyal blacks who know, who are convinced in their hearts that Guyana is done, is destroyed if the PNC get their hands on that country again. Those of you who are there in Guyana, don't leave. Indo-Guyanese, Afro-Guyanese, don't leave your country. Those of you in the diaspora, I am encouraging you, go back to your country and vote. If you have to rent a house or rent a room or pay your relatives for 3 months, make the deal. Go back before mid-August. Check the list online. Check the voters list online, GCOM's website. Go to the area where you know that you're registered. Go back to your country and vote. Forget the fear mongering. Don't listen to the melly smells. Don't listen to the PNC people. They're there to make you so afraid that you don't want to go home. Don't listen to them. Go back to your country and vote. Because the voting population of the PPP, if they're there, is 70%. The 30% is out of the country, would be home, not going to vote. If you don't go back to vote, if you don't go out to vote, you will only deliver either a 50-50 parliament, or we might very well lose the election. It's a possibility, because the data is showing that the majority of the Indo-Guyanese are leaving, have left, even though they have the legitimacy to vote. They are fearful to go back to vote. The blacks are not leaving. They can't leave. They have no resources to leave, and they're stuck there. The PNC want them there. They're playing on their sympathy. You have the chance to save our democracy, to save the country, to save the progress of the country. If you, the Indo-Guyanese, the loyal Afro-Guyanese, the PPP supporters, if you take this for granted and you allow these lies from the PNC people, and you keep watching the Bench Cop show, the Rickford Burke, the Thompson, the Rondabab, if you keep listening and sharing these people propaganda, and you keep commenting on the Melly Smell, and you're spreading the word, you are continuing, you are perpetuating this fear mongering that is making the Guyanese PPP scared of going back to Guyana to vote. to remigrate into Guyana and those who are there to leave the country. Stop it. Push what sells a good image for the country. Push what sells a good image for the country. Do that. But stop spreading the fake news so that people are fearful to go back to vote. There is still time. You want to save the country. You want to save and deliver the 40 seats majority to the PPP so that the government can continue and the government can do its job. You want Guyana to be safe again. You want Guyana to progress, to be healthy. Then you have to go back and vote. We do not have enough people in Guyana to deliver a massive victory for the PPP. It's a fact. Don't be deceived by the small crowds you see. Yes, they are small crowds. We need much, much more than that in votes to get a 40-seat majority. Much more than that. Don't celebrate the crowds. They're just crowds. We need to celebrate all those people who show up at the rally, and we need to join them at the polling booths in person. The plan of the PNC is to get as much Indo-Guyanese out of Guyana and to prevent as much of them from coming back to Guyana. Not just for voting, but resettlement. They don't want that. They want the Indians out of Guyana. We can't let that happen. Move back to your country. Take your family back to your country. Please. Otherwise, the population of the voting population of the PPP is going to keep shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And by 2035, we have nobody to vote. The blacks will always be loyal to the PNC. Always. I couldn't bring it to you any other way. I'm counting on you. Spread this message. Share this live. Comment. Subscribe to the channel. Download, edit, post, repost, whatever you can do. But encourage the Guyanese in the diaspora that Guyana is a beautiful place. Let them remigrate. Come back, open businesses, apply for lands, for grants, whatever. But please return to Guyana to vote on September 1st so that we, the PPP, can have a 40-seat majority in the government. Don't let any fake news or fake propaganda drive fear in you. Nothing will happen. Nobody will kill you. Nobody will rob you. Your family will be safe. Go back to your country and vote. Until next time. This is Dr. Love Prasad saying, all the best, long live the PPPC, and God bless Guyana.